friends, Katie here from Life Between Words. Last week I made a video where I recommended books with the theme of hope, and that was because the first week of Advent you light a candle and the candle represents hope. Well, I just decided to keep going. The second candle in Advent represents love, and so I thought I'd recommend some books with the theme of love. Now, I don't only want to recommend books with romantic love, so I tried really hard to come up with different kinds of love. So that's what I'm here to do today. I'm here to recommend some books about love, or with the theme of love in it, for the second week of Advent. The first book I want to talk about is Little Women. I can't find my copy of Little Women. I've looked everywhere for it. I don't know if it's hiding behind some other books. Little Women is a really, really wonderful example of familial love. There's Marmee, who loves her daughters so much, and then there's the four girls, the four sisters, who love each other so much and so well. Little Women is also a great book to read around the Christmas season because the first scene takes place around Christmas, and then there's a couple other Christmas time scenes throughout the book. So I love to read Little Women around Christmas. If you've ever read Little Women, you know that it's a very sweet story. In fact, it can come across as almost saccharine and moralizing at times, but that's not a reason not to read it. It's just sort of a product of its time, and it's still a wonderful story. Louisa May Alcott was actually very forward-thinking for her time and a trailblazer in the world of women's rights in many ways. So I highly recommend it. If you've never picked it up, it's a great classic to start with because it's not too hard to read. Like, it's a really easy classic. Next, I want to recommend the book Charlotte's Web. This is obviously a middle grade book, and many of you have probably read it or had it read to you in your life, but it's one of my favorite middle grades, and E.B. White is a fantastic, fantastic writer. It follows the story of Fern and her pig Wilbur. Wilbur is trying to avoid being slaughtered at the end of the summer, and he makes friends with a spider named Charlotte. And so I think this is a really wonderful example of the kind of love we have for our friends. Charlotte works very hard to keep Wilbur alive, and it's a wonderful example of the sacrifices that friends make for each other. A perfect book to read during the Christmas season is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. It's pretty short, so you can read it just in a couple days. It's a great story, and it revolves around the story of a miserly old man named Ebenezer Scrooge, so his name is kind of an onomatopoeia. His name sounds like the kind of person he is. He's Grinchly. The whole story revolves around him learning to love his fellow man, learning what love looks like in the world, and also how to really have the Christmas spirit, because the Christmas spirit really should be about loving our fellow men and women, but I'm using men in the universal sense. Most people know the story of A Christmas Carol, but just in case you don't, it follows Ebenezer Scrooge, like I said, who is visited by three ghosts: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. And when each ghost visits him, his heart is changed in different ways, but all having to do with love, loving our neighbors. I couldn't do a video recommending books with the theme of love without mentioning at least one romantic book. So I decided to go with Emma, because Emma is about more than just romantic love. It's really about Emma learning what love looks like in the lives of her friends and in her own life, and learning a lot of lessons in the process. Emma is sometimes considered by Jane Austen fans and scholars as her most perfect novel. I had a professor in college who described it as being carved out of marble. This is a great book and a great example of a woman learning her own heart in the ways of love. And I cannot do a recommendations video without pushing my favorite book on people, Peace Like a River by Leif Enger. This book is about a lot of things, but one of the things it's about is a father's miraculous love for his children, his oldest boy who finds himself in trouble with the law, and then his two younger children who he takes with him on his journey to go and find his oldest son. It is a really beautiful book from start to finish, and I love it, and will just continue to push it on people. And finally, I wanted to mention The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams. This is a classic children's book about a little bunny who is loved deeply by a child, and the whole book is about what it means to become real. There's a really, really beautiful passage in this book about what it means to become real, and basically what it boils down to is being loved hard. And I have to read you that passage because it's one of my favorite quotes in literature ever. I'm sorry if this is long, but it's so worth it, you guys, so stick around. The bunny lives in the little boy's bedroom, and he's talking to one of the other toys, a toy horse. And this is what he says. "What is real?" asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to tidy the room. "Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle?" "Real isn't how you are made," said the skin horse. "It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up?" he asked, "or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily, or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." Isn't that just the most beautiful quote about becoming real and about love? I adore it, and it's one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite children's books. It's really long. It's not like a picture book you'd read to a 2-year-old. Fox isn't ready for it. I mean, there's text on every page that take up like the whole page. I had to include the Velveteen Rabbit as well. So those are 6 books that deal with the theme of love in all sorts of spheres in our lives: family, friendship, our neighbors, romantic, and what it means to become real, to be loved for a long, long time. I hope you guys are enjoying this little recommendation series I'm doing in December. I got a few requests for it, so I thought I'd just keep going. So with that, I will see you all later. Thanks so much for dropping by. What are some of your favorite books that deal with the theme of love? And I'd love it if you included books that aren't romantic love, because I feel like romantic love is just such a small piece of what love encompasses. And so I'd love it if you'd recommend some books to me about love. It could be fiction or nonfiction or any genre, just anything that deals with the theme of love in any way. So let me know down below, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I love talking to you guys in the comments, and I'll see you next time.